Welcome to Ball Talk Deep, where we talk deep about ball. It's Andrade and Irwin back at it again. Today we're talking about Space Jam, the original movie with Michael Jordan, because Space Jam New Legacy, the one with LeBron James, drops today. And I was wondering, why not watch the original one, do a review on it before we watch the sequel? Because one, people are naturally going to be comparing the original and the sequel. Especially all the old heads.
Just like people that are comparing, hey, who's the GOAT, LeBron or Michael Jordan? Even
Of
though the
course.
choice is obvious.
like that. And then once we see the new one, we'll see if it's as obvious too on which is the better Space Jam. But also, why not make a review? Because also, I think once this new one comes out, there's going to be a lot of kids who are going to watch the original that haven't watched the original, because HBO is going to have both anyways.
Yeah.
And, once, I don't know if this ever happens to you guys, like you watch a new one, or like a new movie or a sequel, and then you haven't watched the OG, and you're like, now I'm more interested in watching the OG.
It might not be the best analogy, but it's like people that with the MCU that watch Endgame or their first movie they watch in the Marvel Cinematic,
and then they go back
Infinity War, and they're like, oh my god, it's so
like,
good.
This is pretty dope. Yeah.
But like the old heads are gonna be saying, well, no, man, you haven't watched Captain America, you haven't watched the Avengers.
You gotta watch the whole timeline.
You haven't watched Black Panther, like that type of stuff, with that.
Yeah, and another part of it is like the nostalgia. Like I haven't seen the movie in years. I'm assuming you haven't seen it in years.
Man.
And now rewatching it, I was just like, whoa.
Like,
this is weird.
Yes, man, because I thought, like, the movie came out in 99, 2000, because I remember probably the last time that I watched it, I was, like, 10 years old, 9 years old. But then when I saw it, I'm like, oh, shit, man, I'm, like, 96? Like, shit. And that seemed like yesterday, but unfortunately not. Right now it's 2021.
Yeah. Unfortunately not.
Yeah. But with that being said, Andrade, what do you think about the original Space Jam?
You know what, man? I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty good for what it is. Okay. For what it is as a whole package, as a feel good family movie that's like fun, positive, somewhat energetic, and infuses cartoons and live action. I actually walked away pleasantly surprised of like, wow, this movie as a whole still holds up. You know what I mean? It's gonna have its flaws, but this is no fucking like cinema masterpiece. You know what I mean? It's just it's not an action blockbuster, but it's like, it fits into that category of like, you can't judge it too hard.
Yeah, man, you hit it pretty much same on the spot. Like the majority of people that are gonna be watching it, like you said in the beginning of the episode, are gonna be old heads or older millennials like us that were able to watch it as kids, that want to relive that nostalgia and see how LeBron lived up to it. But the second part is people that are parents, that want to bring up their kids out to watch a good family movie, which the original Space Jam did hit it right on the spot.
It did hit it right on the spot. Like I was watching this and I was like, damn, if I had a kid right now, or when I have a kid like this, I would show him this movie.
What I do like, one of the first, well, you can tell me some things that you like, but one of the first things that I liked with Space Jam was obviously the beginning. You had young Michael Jordan, that whoever was playing putting up the shots. They had that.
That was one of my notes. The intro to me is dope.
Yeah, exactly. They already introduced the part of his dad, saying about basketball, like, oh, how far can I make it, and then he brought up the baseball point, which is gonna lead up to later on in the Space Jam. But then it goes right to the Space Jam intro with that 90s theme music.
Yeah.
And then it has all the highlights of Jordan, from as a kid,
from college
to high school, to North Carolina, to the Bulls day, obviously, the Wizards days. No, I'm just kidding. No Wizards day. that got cut out.
Actually, all right. The intro specifically, I actually, like, I was watching, I was like, oh shit, I remember this as a kid.
Yeah.
And like, you felt like that kid in the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Like, you feel like, oh shit, like, I can be a baller too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
That intro, shout out to the director. That intro is actually very, very well developed and made. Like, I was surprised. I was like, wow, this feels like a serious movie. And the intro, in a way, is very completely different from the rest of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought the highlights too were super dope. Like how it goes into this whole montage compilation of all his career. I was like, damn, okay. And it made me wonder instantly. Like, already my head as I was watching this movie was thinking like, how's LeBron's intro gonna be? You know what I mean?
I'm interested to know
like,
because I don't know about you. That gave me a little bit of goosebumps because little Michael Jordan was saying like, "Yo, I want to be in North Carolina," and his dad saying that's
Yes.
a fine school. And then like, shit, you go to the high. I'm like, damn. Not only did he go in North Carolina, but he fucking killed it.
yeah. And then it made me wonder like, okay, obviously LeBron doesn't have a college to plug in, so I wonder if he's gonna market his high school. You know, St. Vincent Mary.
Yeah.
And one thing that stood out to me now watching it, well, there are a lot of things watching this movie as an adult, and like this is the first time I watched this movie anytime after like, I don't know, I was a kid like any 9 or below. How hard Jordan plugs North Carolina.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Holy shit, man. It from that intro throughout the movie, even all the way close to the end, like I was like, God damn, all right, we get it. You went to
UNC, man.
Yeah.
Chapel Hill. I get it.
I was like, okay. And okay, so let's delve into the movie. One thing I really liked about this movie, which I'm very curious to see if LeBron actually does it now, is and that, by the way, guys, naturally as we're watching this movie, at least me, I was just in the mindset like I wasn't even trying to do it, already thinking of Space Jam New Legacy in the back of my mind, and like thinking like, oh, what are they gonna do? What is this gonna be about? And it's the implementation of Jordan's actual real life in the movie, from retirement, or the first retirement, to sucking at baseball, you know, and playing baseball. The negative sides of being a celeb, like that whole, the treatment he would get in baseball.
Yeah, the whole thing. The guy's stinking it up. He's like barely batting above 200. He's getting clapped.
Yeah, and yeah, he clapped like in a good way.
Not
I was
good
like,
clap. Not clap in a bad way.
Yeah.
Even the catcher hooking him up, be like, yo, slider, don't swing.
yeah, like
Fast
the
foot,
opponent and
swing.
stuff. I was like, okay. And then even a very interesting implementation of Jordan's actual self was like when he comes home and he's talking about his kids asking him like, damn, you really stunk it up there or whatever.
He went 2
and
for
then
5,
he's like, yeah. And the worst part is they were nice about it. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, that's interesting, because everybody knows, if you know about Jordan, like one of the things they always plug is how competitive he is, that he likes the chip on his shoulder. He'll make up stories in his mind about people, negative stories, to like push him. And like for him to go as far to put in Space Jam that little nugget of like how sad he was, like, yeah, they were nice about it, like fuck them. You know what I mean? I was like, okay. And shout out to Jordan. He actually, okay, so the first comparison is, I wonder how much real life LeBron's gonna plug in, because when you read the wiki, this movie is actually set in time of between his first retirement leading up to his comeback in the NBA. Which I don't know if the original writers already had that in mind when they made that, but that was really fucking smart. That was good writing, good implementation on everything to them. Jordan's acting, aside from those certain moments where it's really off, or you're just like, you can just tell that like he could have, you know, polished his acting skills a little more, his facial expressions. It's solid to good. You know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, he actually, this whole movie set the gold standard for me, or sets the gold standard of like an athlete who's gonna do a movie. This is the gold standard. Jordan's acting, plus how well developed it is, from the graphics to the directing to even the cinematography, the writing. This sets the standard.
So real quick, anything else that, you know, stood out to you?
Yeah, the graphics hold up for the most part,
okay,
which that surprised me a lot. I don't know if that surprised you, but for a 96 movie, this is now 20 years, 30 years,
24 years, 25 years.
Like, dude, not too shabby.
Yeah.
Supporting cast. Oh man, that was strong. Bill Murray, Larry Bird's golf scene, Barkley Street pickup scene, all the scenes with all the other basketball players. The supporting cast in this movie really hold the movie together. Like, I know this movie's about Jordan, but walking away as an adult now, watching, I was like, oh, this movie actually gets really held together by the supporting cast. The funny adult jokes caught me off guard. Like the copyright ones that Bugs and Daffy Duck had in the house were like, oh, you ever see money from that lunchbox? Speaking of, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, that's a clever one. Barkley's Madonna joke when he's in the church, like, I'll never go out with Madonna again. Bill Murray making the white joke at the golf scene. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, these little, like, as a kid, they're gonna fly over your head.
That won't pass.
And then now I'm watching this. that was a part of me that thought crossed my mind too. But now as an adult, I'm like, wow, this movie's actually pretty. There's pretty some clever writing throughout it, and the writing as a whole is pretty good to solid. I like how it'll be so realistic sometimes. It'll not break the third wall, but touch it. Like when Daffy asks Bill Murray, like, how'd you get here? Like to the Looney Tunes world. And he just says like, I got some producer friends. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, okay, this movie keeps it real. And yeah, that realness and adult-like touch to the movie makes me really hope that LeBron's legacy Space Jam has a touch of that. Because that, kind of like the Pixar movies, really keeps it together and like, okay, kids and adults can watch this. So overall, shout out to Michael Jordan's Space Jam. A part of me thought this movie was gonna suck. I'm not gonna lie. Like, maybe it's a lot of nostalgia. Maybe it didn't age well. I thought the animation part was gonna be a little weak. And while it had its weak moments, overall it was not weak. You know what I mean? Yeah. And shout out to Space Jam. It held up. And surprisingly, still 20 to 30 years later.
Yeah, man. You pretty much hit up all the points that I had. One question I did want to ask you, man. You think the Toon Squad's gonna score more than this time around in the new
Nah. LeBron can't take any more L's, bro.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the Toon Squad scored 77 points, if I'm not mistaken, to be able to win. You think they're going to score more this time around?
Ooh, you think like a higher scoring game?
Yeah.
Actually, in today's NBA, because of the way they play, yes. I think the score will be higher. That's actually a good... Oh, I'm actually very curious to see how they... Okay, now you brought... I didn't think about this before. How they implement today's current NBA world to... past NBA world in terms of like more threes in the game,
more
style
threes,
of play.
and people are too soft.
Yeah, because Jordan was playing more, dunking a lot, all that good stuff. And actually, another thing I thought about while watching the movie is the supporting cast, again, really well. Even the NBA players that were involved in this movie. Are today's NBA players going to be as involved and as well in their acting, as good as they can be?
For today's era, I think so.
That'd be interesting.
I think so, man, because
they're more used to doing commercials.
Yeah, nowadays. That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah, I think so.
Oh man, that'll be fun, man. I'm gonna be comparing. One thing I'll compare a lot is not really so the movie as a whole, but LeBron's acting versus Jordan's acting. That's something that I'm gonna have in the back of my mind. Like, okay, who could really pull this off? LeBron's not a bad actor, by the way.
No, he's not.
You saw him in that quick scene he had about like, yo, why didn't you go to me when I played in Ohio? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, exactly. I do. But guys, let us know in the comments what you guys think, man. Have you guys watched Space Jam 2? Have you guys watched the original Space Jam?
Actually, yeah, I'm very interested. If you guys are watching this review, are you watching it because you are curious to watch the original Space Jam, or you just want to compare them after watching the new one, or you haven't seen both?
But I would say, look, my thinking about this is, if there's like a sequel or something, or like a part 2, part 3 is being hyped around, or like a series like MCU, watch the original if you can. Yes. It's going to make it a lot easier when you're watching. You're going to catch certain things.
Last note that, for sure they're going to touch back on certain things with the original one and the sequel.
Of course.
But like, when the first one ended, bro, one of the first things that crossed my mind was like, wow, I'm surprised Jordan did not make a sequel. And then I read on Wiki that they did want to make a sequel, but Jordan didn't want to come back. But that movie, when it ended, it leaves it open-ended where like, a sequel could easily happen.
Yeah.
And bro, I'm surprised he didn't chase that back. But instead, you said it released in '96. He ended up winning 3 rings after.
There you go. But as you guys already know, we'll catch you guys soon. We're gonna watch Space Jam 2 later on today.
Yeah, this hyped me up for Space Jam 2.
We'll release that.
Yeah.
As you guys already know, catch us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok.
If you're watching this, definitely watch Space Jam after this review if you haven't already, before watching the new one. Because it really does hype you up for it.
In all podcast streaming platforms.
We should be sponsored by Space Jam at this point.
But anyways, we'll catch you guys soon. For now,
take care.